Hello, religion thinkers. This month, August 2021, the Taliban have again taken control of Afghanistan. This is not good news. And you may wonder, who are these guys? Where do they come from? And what is their relationship to Al Qaeda? I'm Dr. James Rowell. I wrote about the Taliban in my first book, Gandhi and Bin Laden, Religion at the Extremes. So not only am I aware of them, but also that there have been better alternatives to these guys. Sadly, these alternatives have not prevailed, but let's go back in history and explore. In 1996, Osama bin Laden was no longer welcome in Sudan, where he was staying in exile from his native Saudi Arabia. So he had to go to the only other place that had offered him a home, Afghanistan, where he had worked with Abdullah Azzam to help fight the Soviets. The Soviets eventually left that war in Afghanistan in 1989. By this time, bin Laden was angry with America too, and about to launch his plans of terror against us. The Taliban welcomed bin Laden back into Afghanistan, under the condition that he did not make political speeches. Bin Laden did not honor that agreement, nor did the Taliban enforce it. That's what led to 9/11. Bin Laden formed Al Qaeda and recruited the terrorists he needed to perpetrate the deed. As early as 1998, bin Laden had formed his World Islamic Front and declared it a Muslim duty to kill Americans, wherever they might be found. The Taliban, who sheltered him, did not bat an eye. But wait, let me back up a bit. Where did the Taliban come from? How did they get into power? After the days of the Soviet Union's failed war in Afghanistan, which lasted from 1979 to 1989, there was a period of civil war in Afghanistan for several years. One leader in particular, an ethnic Tajik named Ahmed Shah Massoud, proved to be an excellent commander and was beating many of other rivals at the time. When the last Afghan communist faction was defeated in 1992, Massoud's troops were largely in control. Massoud, though an effective military leader, was not an ethnic Pashtun, which was the majority group of the country. The Taliban mostly were Pashtun, and they ended up taking Kabul, and soon after most of Afghanistan by 1996. Massoud was not routed, but still very much in play. One guy named Mullah Omar was the first leader of the Taliban. He took to fighting and won a battle at Spin Ball Dock, seizing weapons, gaining control, and spreading a very puritanical, if not tyrannical, view of Islam throughout the country. A more moderate and well-armed leadership to oppose the Taliban had not emerged. There have been Taliban opponents, however. Malala Yousafzai, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014, stood up for women's rights in neighboring Pakistan, where the Taliban also held influence. For the simple act of daring to go to school, Malala was shot in the face by a Taliban soldier. Miraculously, she survived and relocated to Great Britain. Malala has written her book, I Am Malala, of the crazy alternative views that the Taliban were advancing in her time. Boys learn that there is no such thing as science or literature, that dinosaurs never existed, and man never went to the moon. Malala's view of Islam advocated the rights of women and their education, and of a freer world of religious choice. She wrote, "How will you accept Islam if I put a gun to your head and say Islam is the true religion? If they want every person in the world to be a Muslim, why don't they show themselves to be good Muslims first?" Malala was inspired by people like Abdul Ghaffar Khan, whose memory is now very faded. Abdul Ghaffar Khan, known as the Frontier Gandhi, was a Muslim ally of Mahatma Gandhi long ago. Regrettably, a leadership with much more moderate views of Islam, like Abdul Ghaffar Khan, has not prevailed. I wrote in my Gandhi and Bin Laden book that this is a war of ideas also. Al Qaeda cannot be conquered only with a war of bullets, but also must be challenged by a more forceful war of ideas. That is where Gandhi's alternative can become more compelling. Unfortunately, that non-violent alternative for the Pashtuns represented by people like Malala and Abdul Ghaffar Khan, has not prevailed. But if a war of ideas is necessary, so is a well-armed army to defend it with resolve. That resolve wasn't there. What happened to that Tajik leader, Ahmad Shah Massoud? In anticipation of the 9/11 attacks, Al-Qaeda assassins posing as a camera crew interviewed him, exploded, and killed Massoud on September 9, 2001, just 2 days before the 9/11 attacks. There went one of the great military hopes of fighting the Taliban, one less effective leader to support the U.S. invasion that bin Laden knew would come. So why did the Taliban return? And why did the government army fail so miserably in defending their country? After all, the Taliban have a really awful reputation. The answer, I think, is in education and politics. First, a lot of the government forces were illiterate and poor. Not being able to read and not having much money themselves, they had no great financial stake in their country and no strong attachment to its historical and political traditions. Keep in mind, our United States Army is highly literate, educated, and from birth is taught and trained that democracy is good and worth fighting for, and they believe that. If they had stayed, our soldiers would have fought well. But it isn't our country, and it is a valid question to ask if we should endlessly fight for a country that cannot unify itself. But that gets into the second reason for failure: politics. The government that the troops were formerly protecting was corrupt. Without enough interest in the welfare of its people, it set no good example for them. Ancient scholars such as Confucius could have told you that when the leader fails to set a good example, the followers will scatter without loyalty. Author Stephen Tanner, in his military history of Afghanistan, summed it well. When the Afghans have acted in common cause, their country, though often ravaged, has never been held down by a foreign power. On the other hand, evidence indicates that Afghanistan is only capable of unity when its people respond to a foreign threat. And so, we are here today. The British failed to invade and unify Afghanistan. The Soviets failed between 1979 and 1989, and now it seems, sadly, we have also not succeeded between 2001 and 2021. The Taliban that have taken control claim they will not be as bad as before, that women will be educated and people's rights will be protected. But with their reputation, hardly anyone seems to believe that right now. Time only will tell what fate might await the Afghan people. Hopefully, the new Taliban will not harbor and give sanctuary to the terrorists that they did in the past, but there seems to be no firm safeguard against that. 40 years of war have not brought more moderate leadership forward. So let me know your thoughts and comments on this video. Please like and subscribe, and look forward to more videos.